Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Jamie Miller. I'm a first-year PhD student. I'm working with Bruce Kendall, looking at how the impacts of coastal dune restoration practices might influence wildlife populations. So today I'm going to be sharing with you a proposal that we submitted to Vandenberg Space Force Base that will hopefully become a chapter of my dissertation. We're interested in investigating the acoustic behavioral responses of western snowy plovers that nest in restored coastal dunes on Vandenberg to the increased pace of rocket launches on Vandenberg. Nope, wrong way. There we go. So SpaceX launches their Falcon 9 rockets from Vandenberg, and in recent years, they've started landing their first stage booster on a pad very close to the launch facility. This is the first stage booster. This is the regular rocket that gets launched. Some of you may be familiar with the sonic boom that happens when they land this first stage booster on base. So prior to 2023, launches were happening approximately 3 launches per year. SpaceX wants to increase the pace of these launches. Recently, it's been a launch every 2 weeks. This upcoming year, they're looking at a launch per week. And the ultimate goal is they want to launch every 3 days. So as you can imagine, this is increased disturbance to wildlife that lives in the area, particularly the federally threatened western snowy plover that nests on the beaches adjacent to these launch facilities. So we currently have monitoring protocols in place to basically check on this. But these current protocols only assess catastrophic abandonment of nests and the site entirely. And so far, we have not had any evidence of nests being abandoned due to launch activities, which is fantastic, but it does lead to some more questions on whether or not there actually is an impact to nesting snowy plovers. You know, we may not be detecting the nest losses, but there is still a concern that these launches could be negatively impacting them. So with this study, we're wanting to find if there's a better way to assess this disturbance to plovers. And if we can find out if there is an actual impact of this increased pace of rocket launches on their nesting behavior. All of this is happening in a restored dune system. Another facet of my research is looking at the different restoration techniques being employed by Vandenberg to restore some of their beach dune habitat, most of which is in this area right here on South Base, surrounding the Santa Ynez River mouth. And with part of that study, we're looking at how these different restoration techniques may influence wildlife populations. Now, I keep jumping the gun here. So if the launches are having more subtle impacts on nesting snowy plovers, we want to know if a restored coastal dune system can potentially mitigate these impacts, and if there's any difference between restoration strategies being employed by Vandenberg. There we go, that's the correct direction. So our idea is to essentially eavesdrop on snowy plovers at their nests within the areas impacted by the launch noise, which is shown on this map right here. This is the area where the rockets are being launched from. These pink dots are where snowy plovers are nesting, and these rings are the areas where we expect there to be noise that is worthwhile, worthy of an impact. And so we're proposing to deploy audio moth devices at plover nests in conjunction with time-lapse and motion sensor cameras that are already recording their physical responses to the launches, which can give us kind of context clues on the audio recordings that we're going to be collecting. And so with these devices, we hope to assess the changes in vocalization behaviors at the nests. Specifically, we want to look at alarm calls, vocalizations surrounding incubation exchanges, and also brood communication. Changes in alarm calls can potentially have impacts on predation rates and make the plovers more susceptible to predation if they're not able to communicate the presence of predators properly. and changes in brood communication could potentially lead to, why is this changing? I didn't touch it. It could potentially lead to the loss of chicks and therefore decrease productivity. So finally, we want to test the differences of these responses in restored areas, comparing restored and unrestored sites, and also comparing the different management strategies. This information from this study can hopefully help Vandenberg and other high disturbance sites such as Oceana Dunes, State Vehicular Recreation Area, potentially help with their management practices of their threatened and endangered species on site. So we're still waiting to hear back from the funding status of this project. With any luck, I will begin the pilot study of it this summer, with the study in full swing by next summer. So thank you. And with that, if I have time, I'll take any questions or we can talk at the reception.